Okay.
So Dr. Beckner
Never wants
was
to work
from
with
the southwestern part of Germany, Baden area, so the same area that
Dr. Beckner is the reason why we are here today, because of our friends in Singen, Germany, which is in his...
Thank you very much.
I'll put in for the funds this week.
Thank you.
Whereas Heinrich
Thank you
Heckler,
very much.
Friedrich Heckler, born September 28th, 1811, was the Grand Duchy of Baden. It was hero to the vast majority of German Americans in the United States during the mid-19th century. And whereas Hecker was a lawyer, politician, primary agitator, and military leader in the 1848 revolutions in Germany to overthrow the monarchy, and following the revolutionary defeat, Hecker looked to the United States for inspiration, believing the new nation's prosperity was due to its liberal constitution and the separation of the church and state. And whereas Hecker moved to to Illinois, then returned to Europe when revolution reignited in Germany in 1849. But soon after his arrival to Strasbourg, the revolution was defeated by Prussian troops, and he returned to Illinois. And whereas Hecker next turned his attentions to the abolition of slavery in the United States, and following the Battle of Fort Sumter, the start of the Civil War, he answered President Lincoln's call for Union volunteers and began a recruitment campaign which resulted in Illinois exceeding its allotment of 6,000 volunteers in only 5 days. And whereas on April 15th, 1861, Hecker and his eldest son enlisted as privates in the 3rd Military Infantry Regiment, commanded by the German-American Colonel Franz Sigel, that Hecker was soon placed in command of the 82nd Illinois Volunteer Infantry's Regiment, known as Hecker's Rifles, and fought in Chancellorsville and Gettysburg, among many other battles. And whereas after the Civil War, Hecker returned to his farm in Somerville, Illinois, and in 1871, in the city of St. Louis, Hecker gave his famous address of his enthusiasm for German Americans and for his great future for the reunited fatherland, the United States. Whereas a monument was dedicated to Friedrich Hecker in Benton Park, on October 1st, 1882, before a crowd of over 15,000 people, and on August 12th, 2018, a wreath shall be laid at Hecker's monument and his burial site in Somerville, Illinois, by Johannes Fechner, a member of the German Bundestag. Now, therefore, it is resolved by the Board of Aldermen in the city of St. Louis that we will join with the descendants of Friedrich Hecker and the members of the Missouri German Consortium and others who will gather on August 12, 2018 in Benton Park in honor of Hecker and his vision for German Americans and his service to his new fatherland, the United States. And we direct the clerk of the Board of Aldermen to spread a copy of the resolution across the minutes of proceedings and prepare a commemorative copy to be presented at the time. So here we go. We have 2 copies. So one can go home, so you can kind of take one.
Paul can FedEx it.
Yeah.
He knows how to do that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, first of all, I'd like to say thank you for all joining us here. For me, it's a great honor to be here, and I think I try to speak in English. If it's getting too worse here, tell me. Somebody else will translate for me. It's very important, I think, just in these days, to closen the German-American relation. And when I prepared this trip, I was surprised how many German cities, how many German names you can find on the map around St. Louis. And so I think it's a very good place to strengthen the German-American relation. I want to thank you, 3 men, for organizing this event. and I think it's a very good place to talk about the German-American relation. I'm also very proud to meet a descendant of Friedrich Hecker. Lansing, it's very nice to be here, and I'm really looking forward now to go to the cemetery to honor a very honorable man and just to give honor to his values for freedom and democracy. So, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
On behalf of the Federal Republic of Germany and the Chicago Consulate, I'd like to thank everybody for coming today, especially the Sons of the Sons of the Civil War, and the Dutch Cultureverein, and everyone else assembled here. We certainly appreciate your attendance. It's a lovely statue. I know Representative Carnahan has been working diligently to make some additions to it. Some of the brass issues were removed from it, so they're looking to rebuild it, and they've done a fabulous job of trying to bring that part back up to where it should be.
Just a couple things to say. The point here is that Friedrich Hecker was a man who committed himself with great intensity, and the fact that in 1861, as it was mentioned, he crossed the Mississippi in a rowboat with his eldest son, and he and his son volunteered as privates to Siegel's regiment and declared that they had come to share their fate. This is very significant. He didn't say, I've come to lead you. He said, I've come to share your fate, which didn't look that hopeful at that particular moment. And he was, as this proclamation says, he was called back to Illinois to become a colonel. But the fact is that the last act of the Revolution of 1848 took place in St. Louis, in which the troops, which were raised largely German, out of the arsenal, arrested a major group of the Missouri militia and brought them back in humiliation to the arsenal. After this, under Nathaniel Lyon, troops occupied Jefferson City and proceeded to save Missouri for the Union. And it was a hard fight, and it was Missouri descended into chaos. But the end result of this was a radical government which continued all the way until the mid-1870s. Unfortunately, it's very difficult to talk about radical Missouri because many people don't want to hear about it. But the fact is that the Germans made a major contribution, and Friedrich Hecker, as a professional hero, we might say, led his name to it and led it and continued until his death in 1881 to act on behalf of his values, which often ran against the values of the Missourians and other people. He was, for one thing, a militant atheist, yet a militant atheist who also held seances to communicate with his dead friends and relatives in his home. He also, as a farmer, communicated with people at the Smithsonian and other institutions and developed new varieties of grapes for making wine. He was a man who was active all the way to the end and committed himself to improving the world as best he could. And so I think it's a very nice idea to remember him and to try to replicate his values. I also have to say that we are extremely honored to have a representative of the Social Democratic Party here, which is not often enough made appeared in the United States, although, of course, we all have fond memories of Willy Brandt and of Helmut Schmidt. But the fact is that this is a tradition which is given too little attention in this country. I don't know that I should really say too much more than that.
Just right. Thank you.
Yes. Lansing, you want to say anything here, please?
Other than what I said earlier, that we're very thankful for that you brought the Hecker Gruppe from Singen as their sponsor. and to make this whole event happen, as well as thanking everybody else who came from other German-American groups. We have a very large German-American community in southern Illinois, as you'll find out in a few minutes, but also in Missouri. And that's been something that's been the strength of our organization and our traditions. And we still go back to Germany for a lot of different reasons. Thank you and your wife and your children for coming. We appreciate it. You made it happen today.
I just want to say again, thank you for coming here and being part of this and reminding so many people here about this history of this monument, but also the important connections and contributions of German Americans here for so long, continuing to today. So really continuing to remind us of that history and that connection and how we can continue to work together today. So thank you.
I think our next stop, we're going to now load up and travel over to the cemetery in Summerfield, Illinois. It's located off Oak Grove School Road. If you'd like to join us, we'd be more than happy to have everyone there. The Illinois contingent will be there, along with some other dignitaries, and we'll lay another wreath at the grave of Friedrich.
One thing I thought we might do is just take 2 minutes and ask Vlad Sidomarski, who helped restore the Naked Truth Monument and the important German-American history there, to tell us about what's missing on here and in the very beginning of the conversation to restore it.
Missing is a high relief.
Why don't you point it out where people
high
can
relief
see?
from here. This is granite inserted, relatively not long time ago, because instead of black, granite should be high relief, bronze high relief, and of Friedrich. On another side, it should be oak leaf heraldic, which is represent, very common, actually in Germany symbol, and all monument is in a great shape, and only what I'm looking will be interesting to find photographs, original photographs, probably during the opening or later.
Great. Thank you, Vlad.
All right. Thank you. Thanks everyone for coming today, and we look forward to seeing everyone in Summerfield.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Mach einfach raus. Okay?
Sollen Haufen machen.
Okay.
Ja.